Good day, how are you? So, this talk is going to be today about ghosts and spirits. I wanted to make a reflection and give my viewpoint on the subject. I don't think it's going to be too long of a talk this time, but we'll see what happens. You never know, you don't plan these things most of the time, eh? So, anyhow, first off, my main point to share with everybody is that knowing the you are the self and you are the soul that animates your body. You are the you, recognizing your eternal nature as the will behind the thoughts, as the recipient of feelings, as the decider, as the one who receives the joy and suffering. That's you. And so to associate yourself with your body, that you are it, and when it passes away and perishes, decomposes, that's the end of you. It's absurd and ridiculous. In fact, I would go so far to say that it was a deliberate lie and an attack brought forth upon people whatever year it came out, as something to be taught as curriculum in school. Oh, well, you die and that's it. Because in the back of people's minds, there's this fear that science is somehow right and correct. Well, keep in mind, science comes from the root word scientia, which just means knowledge. And at one point, knowledge got divided into different schools of thought. So you had physics and palpable things, and then you had thoughts and ideas, philosophy, and then spirituality went on its own place. So you have this, different schools, different branches of knowledge. Now my question is, why did the material ended up taking prominence? I'll never know. This is a very strange planet, but anyhow, enough of that. I would like to say that I'm pretty sure most people have an idea that when you die you keep living, and it is true. Of course it is. And so while we're in this mortal experience, that's where we feel this. That's where we are truly humbled, and it's where it's necessary for us to come to grips. Otherwise we would maybe continue on in a wild, unchecked state. So these incarnations that we live in, they're necessary. So now that I've said all that stuff in the past 3 or whatever minutes, the main thing is, when you hear stories or when you have experienced something of the paranormal, okay, you've heard many stories of ghosts. It's been all over the place. From the beginning, people have understood that there's been interactions with spirits, and I think ghost is a very poor word actually. But anyhow, know very much that these are, not all ghost stories are true, but because some people like to make things up for attention, or just to scare others, or make an amusing tale of sorts. But keep in mind, even those are based upon the topic itself of a true topic. Like, saying it better, the subject matter is based on real things. And whether you make up a story or not, it's based upon a true fact of life, that there are these things. I think people that like to make light of it have a hard time digesting their own mortality, and they like to put it off until the very end, which could be today, tomorrow, next year, 10 years, 20 years, but it will come. And like I said in my other video on death and near-death experience, two-parter, a lot of people don't watch the second part because people don't have a big attention span to watch long videos. Some do, and I bless you and thank you for that. And that's where you get the full story. Now, keep in mind, we are all mortal here. We all should remember it, because you could leave your body anytime. You have no idea. Some people have an idea when they will, because it's told to them by their guides and friends, told to them through the friends from God's plan right? To put it that way. So ghosts and spirits are very real, and it's not to be afraid of them. You are the same thing. It's not about we are so categorically different. Okay, when we pass away from the body, we too go back to our more spirit form, our more real form, an astral form, which is a representation of the soul spark. Our real selves, we are told by many good sources, don't really have a shape or form. It's more of a soul spark. And this soul spark, often depicted as, well, you think of a spark, you think of a little sphere, a glowing sphere of sorts, and hence orbs, etc. And then these take on an astral form in which the soul represents itself, and then furthermore the body. Now to say that, okay, well here's an interesting question that's on people's minds. How come some people die and go to heaven and live in the paradise, and others are stuck here seeming to be in torment? It's a good question. Now you'd have to read many mystical religious books and philosophies and just do some real good meditating and thinking to get an overall picture of the coming and going of a soul. Because yes, when people that are counting on God, who trust, who have allowed God into their heart in one way or the other, and I'm not saying false gods of a demonic sort or one that looks to enslave you, etc. Okay, that's a whole other topic. But I mean a real, true, authentic source of things. Okay, there is only one that can create something out of nothing. You and I are not that being. We cannot create something out of nothing. There is one who can do that. That is the Creator. You and I don't have this power. So a lot of people have put themselves in this day and age up on par. I am God's equal. We are God. There's nothing higher. Well, we are an extension. We are a tiny drop of the ocean. But we are equal to the Creator. Now, when a person dies, when they're living, too for that matter, they will feel, well, let's lead up to the death, from living onto your death. While living, you will feel, you have your own outlook and your attitude, your perception of things, however right or however shaded they may be, just as I do, however right and however shaded I may be. But the point is, some of us trust and allow and hope and feel that they are worthy and that they will go to a nicer place immediately upon death. Others who have not opened up, who are still in a mode of rebellion, mainly meaning not evil and treacherous, are all rebels. Some rebels are simply those that are still shell-shocked and want to be very independent. They push everything away to a standoffish point, and then they want to analyze things. So that's putting yourself in the position of, I am equal to God. And that's why we're here, and that's why we're mortal. No sane person says, I'm equal to God, and is enjoying their mortal existence with all its embarrassing functions and the mortality issue itself, to put the icing on the cake. So no, we're not. And the way we can get to be partakers of the great creation and mysteries is by humbly accepting that holiness is the right way to go. God is holy. Now, people of a sane and clear mind and clear heart agree with that holiness is the height, because love is the king. Love is the queen. Love is the best. And in this spirit, acceptance and tolerance and strength, courage also, a lot of courage. And this is the basis that will, someone who feels strong in love and humble and cognizant enough to understand the source of all energies, the source of all energies, then when they die, they enter into, by their own understanding, by their own want, by their own choice, accepted into the loving hands. People that do not feel worthy, people that are full of the rebellious state, people that, I don't want anyone to help me, I'll do it myself, it's me on my own only, which leads to there is no God and this and that and I'm God's equal and so on and so forth. I see a lot of people that call themselves enlightened on YouTube who think they are God's equal. It's not exactly like that, my dear. It's not exactly like that. Okay? It's convenient to take an excuse from left, right, and center and have it fit your current mode, your current state, your current phase of knowledge. And I say this to a lot of people, but keep in mind, you're not the source of all things, and neither am I. It shouldn't be for us to be upset about it. It should be a good thing. We don't have to have that extreme responsibility. Later on, we'll have a lot more responsibility than now, but we'll never have that extreme responsibility per se in the same way of being the source. Co-creator is another story, but now I'm rambling. The main thing is, this is why you see ghosts and spirits, okay? Those that linger here and haunt places, and who themselves, essentially, are haunted inside. That's really what it comes down to, I think. They don't feel worthy, they don't want to accept guidance or loving hands, and so they want to stay in a state of misery where I decide what's right and wrong, I decide this and that. And by doing so, since we do have free will from the Creator, they might stay in that miserable state for a while. And sometimes they'll get help. I mean, you've heard stories of hauntings. It's on YouTube, the TV show Paranormal State and many others, that a strong, good soul can come around, a psychic, a healer, a mystic, whatever, a priest, and can help the soul on its way. Can help remind the soul that you are loved. God's loving hands are there for you. And you can leave your state of misery. It doesn't always have to be up to you. You don't have to trick yourself anymore to think that you are the complete master of reality. Isn't it nice to know that we are eternally children of an incredibly loving parent? It cannot be any other way. We cannot change it. We can think this and that, but the reality can never be altered. However, for those who have a power thirst, I'll say this to you. Upon our higher and higher enlightenment, we will become mighty co-creators, demigods, but it must be in a holy state. Otherwise it will continue going back to a rebellious state where you see, me, I, myself, I am source. And you're just going to have a difficult time understanding the perplexity of yourself, and you're going to keep deceiving yourself in that way. Anyway, so for ghosts and spirits, don't look at them as anything freaky, anything too scary, anything too foreign from you or from I, because they're not. Let's just say that, let's say that you died, for example, and you will, or I'm sorry, I'll put the burden on me. I'll take it off you. Let's say that I died next week, for example, and I was full of turmoil and wanting everything to be up to me and not allowing the truth of the matter and the proper guidance to come and fill me up. Then I might remain stuck here in a state of big conflict, and I would be hanging on. And maybe I would go and try and get some attention from the people that are animating the body. Because when we're in the body, we're a lot more naive in certain ways, on many cases, than those who are out of the body. And people that are a little bit privy to, or have surrendered to love and surrendered to wanting guides into their life, people that are constantly thirsty for knowledge will get it. And this can permeate even while you're in a human body. A lot of people allow it to flow,